In the grand theatre of monarchy, where every gesture is choreographed and every word weighed like gold, there are rare moments when the script falters, when the polished veneer of royal decorum cracks to reveal the raw, unfiltered truth beneath. Yesterday was one such moment, a fleeting electric instant that pierced the heart of the British public and reverberated across the globe. During a routine walkabout, King Charles, cloaked in the trappings of his crown, was confronted by a voice from the crowd, a voice that carried the weight of a nation's longing. "Sir, please, can you bring him back?" The question hung in the air like a thunderclap, simple yet seismic. "Who?" Charles responded, his tone laced with a practiced ignorance that fooled no one. "Harry, your son." And in that moment, the world saw the mask slip. What followed was not a father's warmth, not a king's wisdom, but a chuckle. A hollow, awkward deflection that echoed louder than any speech. It was a sound that betrayed not just a fractured family, but a monarchy teetering on the edge of irrelevance. This wasn't just a moment of personal failure for Charles. It was a public reckoning. The exchange, caught on camera and instantly immortalized on platforms like TikTok and X, laid bare the chasm between the House of Windsor and the people it claims to serve. The plea for Harry's return wasn't just about a son. It was a cry for something real, something human, in a system that thrives on artifice. The British public, weary of funding gilded carriages and sprawling palaces, looked at Charles and saw a man incapable of answering for the wounds he's inflicted. They saw a king who, when faced with the raw pain of a father-son rift, could only muster a laugh that rang with the cold detachment of an institution that values image over integrity. It was, in every sense, the abuser's chuckle, a dismissal of accountability, a refusal to engage with the truth. Let's rewind the tape and consider the context. Harry and Meghan Sussex, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, have been vilified for years by a relentless tabloid machine, fueled, some say, by whispers from within the palace itself. Stripped of their security, cast out from the royal fold and smeared with accusations of disloyalty, they dared to do what no one in that family had done before. They spoke their truth. In interviews with Oprah, in Netflix documentaries, and through Harry's searing memoir, Spare, they exposed the monarchy's underbelly, its casual cruelty, its racial biases, its obsession with control. And what was the response? Not dialogue, not reconciliation, but a campaign of leaks and briefings that painted them as traitors. The royal family, with Charles at its helm, didn't just turn their backs on Harry and Meghan Sussex, they weaponized the press to ensure their exile was complete. Yet, in that walkabout, when a stranger's voice pierced the royal bubble with a plea for Harry's return, it was clear the public hadn't forgotten them. They hadn't bought the narrative. Across the Atlantic, Harry and Meghan have carved out a life that stands in stark contrast to the one they left behind. In California, they've built something extraordinary. Not with taxpayer money, but with their own grit and vision. Archewell, their foundation, has become a beacon of compassion, funding mental health initiatives, women's empowerment programs, and disaster relief efforts. Invictus, Harry's brainchild, continues to uplift wounded veterans, giving them purpose and pride through sport. Their Netflix projects and podcasts have sparked global conversations about resilience, race, and redemption. They've done all this without the crutch of royal privilege, proving that their value lies not in titles or tiaras, but in their ability to connect, to inspire, to act. Compare that to the senior royals, whose public engagements often feel like relics of a bygone era. Ribbon cuttings and ceremonial waves that do little to address the pressing issues of a modern world. Note, the original chapter does not mention Meghan Markle by name, only Meghan. Therefore, no changes were necessary to the script. The public, it seems, has noticed. On X, the sentiment is clear. Harry is the main man, one user posted. "The UK doesn't deserve my King Harry," wrote another. "He'd never return to that dysfunctional family if they paid him $1 billion, a third declared. The numbers tell the story. That walkabout clip racked up millions of views, with comment sections ablaze with support for the exiled prince. The truth is, Harry and Meghan have become the monarchy's mirror, reflecting its flaws in ways that make the palace squirm. They are the stone the builders rejected, Yet they've become the cornerstone of a new kind of legacy, one built on authenticity rather than artifice. Charles, by contrast, seems trapped in a gilded cage of his own making. Reports have surfaced of aides mediating even the most basic conversations between him and Harry, as if love itself requires a bureaucratic buffer. A poignant piece on Medium captured it perfectly. Charles doesn't see his children through the lens of love, but through the lens of legacy, image and control. When Harry refused to play by those rules, choosing Meghan Sussex and their children over a system that demanded his silence, he became a threat. Love was withdrawn, replaced by cold calculation. The palace's PR machine has worked overtime to paint Harry as irrelevant, a wayward son who abandoned his duty. Yet every time his name is mentioned, every time a clip like yesterday's goes viral, it's clear that he remains the monarchy's most potent symbol, the one who got away. This saga is more than a family feud, it's a referendum on the monarchy itself. The British public, and indeed the world, are asking hard questions. What is the purpose of this institution? Why are we funding a family that seems incapable of basic human connection? The walkabout moment wasn't just about Harry, it was about a nation grappling with the cost of tradition. The monarchy's defenders will argue it's a unifying force, a symbol of continuity in turbulent times. But symbols don't pay the bills, and continuity feels hollow when it's built on exclusion and estrangement. Harry and Meghan Sussex, by contrast, have shown what a modern monarchy could be, one that engages with real issues, that listens to the marginalized, that dares to evolve. Their work with Archewell isn't just charity, it's a blueprint for relevance in a world that demands more than pageantry. Let's not mince words. The royal family's treatment of Harry and Meghan has been nothing short of betrayal. The stripping of their security, despite credible threats, was a calculated move to force compliance. The leaks to tabloids, painting Meghan as a scheming outsider and Harry as a petulant child, were designed to destroy their credibility. Yet they've thrived. Their Netflix deal, their Spotify projects, their partnerships with global brands, these aren't just financial wins, they're proof of their resilience. They've turned exile into empowerment, building a platform that amplifies voices the monarchy would rather silence. And the public has taken note. On TikTok, young people remix clips of Harry's Invictus speeches with captions like, "This is what a real leader looks like." On X, hashtags like #WeLoveYouHarry trend alongside calls for Charles to step up. The palace may control the narrative in the UK's tabloids, but it's losing the war for hearts and minds online. What makes this moment so poignant is its universality. Who among us hasn't felt the sting of rejection, the pain of being cast out for daring to be different? Harry and Meghan's story resonates because it's not just about royalty, it's about the courage to choose yourself, even when it costs you everything. Harry could have stayed, played the dutiful spare, and lived a life of quiet luxury. Instead, he chose love. Love for Meghan, for their children, for the truth. That choice has made him a global icon, not just for royal watchers, but for anyone who's ever stood up to a system that tried to break them. Meghan, too, has become a symbol of defiance, a black woman who refused to let a centuries-old institution define her worth. Together, they've rewritten the script, proving that you don't need a throne to make a difference. As the dust settles on that walkabout, the image of Charles's chuckle lingers like a bad aftertaste. It's the sound of a man who knows he's lost something irreplaceable, not just his son, but the trust of a public that sees through the facade. The monarchy's playbook, deny, deflect, distract, may have worked in the days of Fleet Street's dominance, but in the age of social media, it's a losing strategy. Every viral clip, every trending hashtag chips away at the palace's carefully curated image. The public isn't just asking for Harry back, they're asking for a monarchy that reflects their values, one that prioritizes humanity over hierarchy. And Charles, with his awkward laugh and his army of aides, has no answer for that. In the end, Harry and Meghan Sussex's legacy will outshine the gilded cages of Buckingham Palace. They've chosen a path of purpose over privilege, truth over tradition, love over legacy. Their story is a reminder that the truest crowns are not worn on the head, but carried in the heart. Long after the tabloids have moved on, long after the palace gates have closed, their names will endure, not as royals, but as rebels who dared to rewrite the rules. The world watches, not with bated breath for a reconciliation that may never come, but with admiration for a couple who turned their backs on a broken system and built something better. And no amount of royal spin, no awkward chuckle can erase that. Their truth is their triumph, and it will echo through history, a beacon